Welcome everybody, episode 16 of the MEE-FIT podcast. So today we're going to be talking all things New Year. So at the point of filming this, that is very much on the horizon. So we thought it'd be a good thing to discuss. You know, gyms, fitness, personal trainers, typically busy in the new year. Lots of people wanting to make a positive change. So we're going to talk all things about that. So so we'll dive in. And I thought we'd start this with a bit of not a criticism, but sort of a bit of conversation around why we generally don't encourage people to wait until the new year. So sort of people who are looking at making a change, maybe September, October, November, or just generally. What's your thoughts on that to start, Claire? Why would you generally not encourage someone to wait? We will then talk about why, if you are waiting until the new year, it's still a good thing to make a change, but why would we maybe not encourage people to wait until then in the first place?
I'm sure we've addressed this question similar before about putting things off to the right time, because who knows what's around the corner tomorrow, next week, and in a month's time. So as much motivation as we might have in January, like January is sometimes a bit of a shit year anyway, a bit of a come down from Christmas time and all that, and you know, I don't know, the one big massive hangover that people have. So I think now, you know, why not now? Why not just start now? Or at least start implementing some of the changes, or at least start thinking about how you're going to do it. Yeah. I just think too many things can get in the way if you put it off. And that's like we talked about with anything. But particularly if it's something that you're not naturally good at, or you don't naturally do it, it's not an everyday habit for you. And if it's something new, the worst thing to do is put it off and start later. Yeah.
Well, we did the podcast, didn't we, on the lack of time, and I think we had a lot of conversation around that. The thing I see happen a lot at this time of year, and this is why especially waiting to the new year when it comes to your fitness can be problematic. So what I see happen a lot is, and I'm sure you've done it, I know I've done it, when you make a plan, you're going to do something different in the future. You feel good, don't you? Like it makes you feel good that you've got something in place for the future. And what I see happen a lot at this time of year is people think to themselves, okay, January's coming, I'm going to make a change then. I'm going to get started. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to go to the gym, whatever it might be. So you're thinking, right, okay, future me is covered. Future me is all sorted. But then what typically happens is, because of that, people then behave in a way across December and, you know, late November, December, January, which moves them even further away from their goals. Yeah. You know, they eat excessively, they do all the things that we spoke about on the Christmas podcast, but they almost do it under this false assumption that actually new year me, future me has got my back almost. Yeah. So then they get to January and they're even further away from where they wanted to be. Yeah. And then I think that's sometimes why people struggle to then actually make that start, because they think, oh my God, like I'm so far away from where I want to be. It can almost be demoralizing. So I just don't think setting yourself a plan for later in the future to do something is a good idea, especially in the new year, because that's what can then happen. I see that happen in December quite a lot. Yeah. Like, we're guilty of it. I know I've done it myself, where you think, I'm going to start on Monday. Then what do? Like, you have a takeaway, or you eat all the bad food in the house, and, you know, all that type of thing. And then when you're doing that across a whole month of December, it just sort of sets you up to start January in a difficult spot. So yeah, I think we're both in agreement that we would always encourage someone to do it now, whether it's December, November, January, whenever. Yeah. If you're looking to make a change, start now, deal with what's in front of you now, and then you'll only be in a better position come January.
So on the opposite side of that, I do understand the new year, new me in some ways.
Yeah. No, I do as well, of course, yeah.
Like we said in the Christmas podcast, there's loads of stuff going on, and, you know, our health, diet, routine, whether it's in fitness or what have you, can go out the window for many reasons. Not saying they're right or wrong or what have you. And then, but even if it's gone out the window, you don't want to give up. No. So January almost feels like, bloody hell, let myself go then, didn't I, for a little bit? Okay, I need to get back on track. So it can be a good focus and a positive way to start the new year. But we try and implement to start a positive day and a positive week, don't we, as well? So to start the new year, it almost feels quite like a big project.
Yeah.
And moving on to I think sometimes why those New Year resolutions aren't successful is because either there isn't a plan or it just feels too big.
Yeah.
Or it's hard work. So a good way to, if you're going to do the whole New Year, New Me, then you definitely want to fully understand how you're going to get there and break it down and have all the steps and support and, you know, that new sort of mindset, and know that nothing is a nice, even line up. Like, progress is very much
up and down,
sporadic, ebbs and flows for many different reasons. If you can physically start now, then start now, or at least do something that's building up to the big leap.
Yeah.
You know, make little changes when you can.
Everything we said there, I still think, a lot of people are just going to resonate with a new year. It's a fresh start.
Yeah.
It's a chance to draw a line under what's gone before, to start fresh again. But I think nothing fundamentally is different about people's lives in January. You know, you're still the same person, you still have the same job, you still have the same children, you still have the same time constraints. So nothing's different, but it's sometimes maybe that's what it takes, is for someone's mindset to shift, to then be able to manage all those things and make that change. Then sometimes that is just what people need. They need that clear start point. It's like I said, draw a line under what's gone before.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Because like I said, like, no one really loves January unless they've got a holiday booked, really. Like, they're just like, oh my God, you know, it's just, well, I mean, some people might look forward to January, like the New Year and stuff, but I think that's why it almost puts a positive spin on, like, you know, Christmas has been great, or it's people have had a burnout and they're like, they want to reset. So it's a good thing to look forward to. You know, like for motivation, like us, we like to book in competitions or races and stuff like that, for us to keep us motivated and to give us a reason as to why we're training so hard, or to maybe give us a reason to mix up our training because we've got something to aim for.
Yeah.
So I think the New Year, New Me can really work and be really powerful if implemented in the right way.
Yeah.
With good reason and a good plan.
Yeah. So thinking of that then, so let's say someone has been thinking about making a change, like they think, okay, new year, I'm going to start a new health and fitness regime, I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to get healthier, I'm going to reduce my blood pressure, like whatever it is that person wants to achieve. How would you encourage them to go about that? Like, what would be some of the key things that you'd be encouraging them to focus on and to try and implement, or what would be the thoughts in terms of the overall approach? I know that's quite a big question, but what comes to mind? So, like, write down everything from the smallest thing to the biggest thing. What kind of exercise do you want to do? What kind of, if you want to go to a gym, what kind of gym do you want to work out? Do you want to work out with a friend, or I don't know, all those sort of things that make you happy and what you think would keep you going and keep you motivated. Like, you know, get excited about, I think more, without doing a vision board, like what sort of trainers you're going to wear and all that sort of stuff. I don't know, just things that will get you excited about making those changes. But definitely set realistic goals. Yeah.
And achievable steps. So your goal might be to, yes, you want to do all these things, but, you know, really break it down. Do you understand how long that's going to take you, or how quick it's going to take you? And how much are you willing to make a change? Maybe people like the all or nothing approach, but then just know that might not last very long.
Yeah.
Or are you willing to go for the longer journey and do the little changes so it's less disruptive to your everyday life, but you're still making those positive changes, and collectively they make a really good difference to your life and towards your goals?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I agree with everything. I thought you'd go on a different angle with that question, though.
Really?
I thought I was lining you up really well for knowing your why answer.
Well, everyone knows that.
Go on, no, they might not. Hit me with that one.
So
that's the one I wanted to hear.
But when you asked me that question,
right? That was great, by the way.
Thank you. When you asked me that question, right, I literally saw a mind map. You know when you have a spidergram?
Yeah.
Or a mind map. Like, I just saw visual stuff like, what are all the things that I want to do? And okay, what do I need to do are these all linked? Can I kill 3 birds with 1 stone? So that's where my brain went. But ultimately, under all that is like, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
What are the reasons that you want to lose weight? Is it to feel better? Is it to look better? Is it for somebody else? Is it to be fitter overall because you want to be a good spouse, good partner, a good mum, dad, you know, good daughter, you know, for you sometimes it's you want to impress people or what have you. I don't know. Have you had a health scare? Maybe that's the thing. But understanding your why will definitely keep those goals moving, keeping you moving towards those goals and keep you more motivated, because it gives you that focus as to why you want to do it. And you can have loads of different whys, really important whys and really small whys, and you know, it can be aesthetic, it can be health related, it can be, you know, what have you, but something that's true to you and true to your values.
There we go. We're getting all the key words in. No, the reason I thought that was good to talk about, because I agree completely. Like, we do a New Year like workshop here, and like every time we've done that, for anyone who comes every year, you might think, oh, this is the same. But like, I think New Year's a really good time to talk about that, like that shift in identity of becoming the person who you wish to be, and then understanding why. Because I think, you know, we mentioned about talking about the challenges people face with New Year. I think fundamentally people think about, I want to achieve this or that or whatever, but they sometimes don't understand why, like you said, why that's so important to them. And then when things get challenging, it can be really difficult to stick to. So at this time of year, if someone is looking to make a change, I think it's really important to have that thought in your head as to, well, what is it I want to achieve? But like you said, why is it important to me? Who's it going to benefit? Is it just going to benefit me? Is it going to benefit the people around me? And the better you can understand that, the more likely you are, in our opinion, and in what we see, experience tells us, that the more likely it is to stick, because you've got you understand more about the impact it's going to have on you and everyone else around you.
So I want to pick up on something you said about a shift in identity, and sometimes that's somebody's block to move forward because they don't want to almost let go of who they were. But sometimes you really do have to let go of old you in order to be the new you.
Absolutely.
How much do you want that new you to let go of some of the old you and the old you? And it's probably a little bit deep and psychological, but it is something that if you're getting stuck, that's something that you might need to look into and have some help on, because, you know, if you're going to get fit and healthy, you're going to do new things, you're going to be a new person, you're going to say no to things that you didn't used to say no to. For example, I don't go out drinking as much. I love the social life, I miss the social life, but I don't like going out drinking anymore for several reasons. And so I miss out, but am I willing to make that sacrifice? Is this the new me? Because I value my health and my well-being and mindset and you know, all that sort of stuff. So I find enjoyment in other things where it's not as often, maybe it's not as frequent, it's probably just as more as expensive, like doing competitions. But that sort of stuff I find fun. But that's not, I've had to let go of some of the old me. Not all the time, but the majority of. Am I okay with that? It was a little bit wobbly, but and it can be. No journey is ever smooth. But I think that the identity shift is quite a big thing that is very overlooked.
I agree. I think it's a big topic and it's quite a big thing to think about, like changing who you are. But I think for anyone who does make lasting, lifelong changes to who they are as a person, and whether it's not just body weight related, it's everything. It's body weight, it's shape, it's fitness level, strength level, everything to do with getting fitter and healthier. You do have to do that, and I think that's why so many people struggle. You have to step out of the old you that's led you to where you are right now and step into a new you that is going to lead you to a different place. And like I said, whether that's weight related, health related, fitness related, whatever, it doesn't matter. The principle is the same. And I think so many people want to make a change, but they're not willing to do the things that they need to do to get there. Like you said,
or they're still holding on.
They're clinging on to them previous habits, those previous behaviors, those previous lifestyle choices that don't
friendship groups,
friendship groups, you know, people who you're interacting with. It's a big change, and for some people they don't want to do that or they struggle to do that, but you kind of just have to know that if you want to make big changes to who you are as a person, your body shape, your weight, all those things that we mentioned, like, you kind of do have to do that.
And that shift can be quite a lonely place because you're in limbo, shifting from one thing to the next, which I've experienced myself. and who I think Chris Wilkes spoke about it on his podcast, where you let go of your old life and friends and what have you for different reasons. If you don't always need to, but if you're going to make big changes and you grow as a person and that old life doesn't serve you, and then you're in limbo. There's that limbo stage, but it can be a bit, when you're making the change, it can be a bit lonely until you find your new place, your new space, your new friendship groups and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think just being aware of change isn't always lovely and dreamy straight away. It can be difficult, and I think that's where people potentially may fall off the wagon when it's all like brilliant, my motivation's high and all this sort of stuff, and then things get difficult because they've not realised all the things are getting in the way, and all that change can be really tough and difficult to deal with. But there's if you just keep going, there's success on the other side of it.
Well, yeah, and once you start reaping the rewards of that in terms of feeling better, having better energy, sleeping better, all those positive things that we know will come of that, it will more than likely start to become easier. But like you said, that initial stage where you've got to go to the gym now 2 or 3 times a week, you're eating differently, like you said, you maybe not as frequently doing those social things, all these things.
You become that person who goes, no, I can't do that. Shit.
Yeah.
Like, I've done it loads. Like, I can't go out tonight because I'm training and I've got a race in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've become that person.
I think it's important to mention here, though, like, I think we have to bear in mind that a lot of people that we work with, like, it doesn't need to be too drastic. I suppose something we're missing there a little bit. Like, it doesn't need to be a complete change in who you are, of course, but there are certain things that will need to shift in terms of the consistency in which you train, the way that you eat and drink, and socially, those things are probably going to need to shift, especially if someone's looking to make big changes to their weight. That's probably where this is most relevant, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you're just looking to be fitter, be healthier, change your body shape a little bit, but you're more focused on just being more active, then these things are probably a bit less relevant.
Yeah,
because
totally.
You can stay exactly who you are, start going to the gym 2, 3, 4 times a week, feel so much better for it. That's not took too much of a change. Whereas if you're looking to make, and we probably should have made that clear at the start of that little segment, that if you're, it's more, I suppose, those conversations are around if you're looking to make big changes to your weight and your body shape. That's where I think that becomes more important, because all the things that you're doing outside of the gym are having a massive impact on your outcome.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're not focused on that, if you just want to be fitter, healthier, move a little bit better, reduce your joint pain a little bit, all those other things, you can probably do most of that just by turning up regularly and engaging in health and fitness habits.
So let's talk about the relevance of our members, for instance. Like, you don't have to fully change who you are in order to implement really healthy lifestyle changes. People still go out with their friends and family and stuff. They might just need to compromise a little bit on what they choose when they go out. They don't drink as much, or they don't drink that night, or so they do make little changes, but they don't have to completely change who they are. It's just, so that in itself might be a little bit of a challenge, just to compromise, and they feel like, so sometimes they might not want to go out at all because they don't want to be that person who doesn't drink as much. But it's that you can be that person. It's not that big of a change, really. It's just, I'm just trying to pinpoint some of the things that potentially might get in people's way, but they're not really aware of. Or I always say, like, it's all about balance, and you have to just meet yourself halfway. How can I have a healthy and fitter lifestyle but still also have my social life?
And I think that's generally the type of client we work with, isn't it? Like, yes, we get quite a lot who are focused on body shape changes, weight changes. Obviously, then there's different conversations, but for a lot of people, they are just looking to be fitter, healthier, improve their overall well-being. Then we know that just being consistent with your health and fitness, coming to the gym regularly, tidying up things a little bit nutrition-wise, is probably going to have most of the effect. So we spoke about, like, realistic goals, like you said about that being a challenge to people. Like, where do you see people go wrong when they set goals themselves, New Year or otherwise? But obviously we're talking New Year at the moment.
New Year, right, particularly, their motivation's high, and if they're relying on motivation alone, they're more likely to, without a plan, they're more likely to fail, should we say, although I don't like to use that word, because fail is just feedback, isn't it? But they're more likely to fall off the wagon and not get to their goals like they thought they would. and the potential, their expectations may be unrealistic, as in I want to lose a stone in the next 2 weeks sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So
where do you think that comes from? What fuels that?
Just panic of like, oh, I've probably put too much weight on, so I need to lose it as quick as I can.
I blame slimming clubs with that mostly. I would say, sorry to any slimming club.
If we're going to go deep, I blame the bloody media and fashion industry of how you're supposed to look. Like, you know, we could go off on a tangent on that.
We could.
You know, but
we're not going to. The angle for the slimming clubs, just for my defence, was like, I think, unfortunately, you know, when you've gone to slimming club for the first week and you've lost, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 pounds.
A newbie gains, we call it in the gym, but newbie loss.
Newbie loss. Yeah. But we know most of that's water. Someone's probably pigged out the weekend before they have their first weigh in because they know that they're now on this new health kick. And so they have a takeaway, they go out for food, they eat everything in the house, they weigh in on the Monday, then they have a dieting week, weigh in the next Monday, they've lost 4, 5, 6 pounds. And oh my God, like that's, like, and that becomes in their head that's the norm, whereas actually that's not the norm. We've spoke about this loads of times over the years, but like you've just lost water weight. You've not really lost that much fat in a week, like realistically.
And
that sets
muscle.
people up for failure, because then when they only lose a pound, they've only lost a pound. Like they view that really negatively.
Yeah.
But actually, and we go back to this all the time, if you lost a pound a week for 52 weeks of a year, that's what, 3.5 stone?
Yeah.
Like most people who are looking to make changes to their body shape, if they were sat here in 12 months' time and they're 3.5 stone lighter, most people are going to be pretty happy with that.
I am hearing lots of people going, 3.5 stone in a year? That's way too long.
Yeah, but it's not. It's crazy to think that.
But it's because everybody wants things now.
We're all impatient.
We are all impatient, and we're guilty of that. Knowing the realistic reality of it all. More like, oh God, why is it taking me so long to lose 1% body fat? But like, I think just the world that we live in, and we've got to step back a little bit. I know everything's on. You know, we get it all really quick, and unfortunately, there are no real quick fixes. Even with all the other extra stuff that's out there with the GLP-1 and all that stuff, there's still not a quick fix as much as they like. Yes, it's quicker, but there are trade-offs with that. You know, downsides, pros and cons of that. So, you know, even if you do get a quick fix, there's always some kind of trade-off with that in different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Either side effects, money, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think that's the issue.
Yeah.
So as long as we are realistic about things, then, and have a focus and have some form of a plan and structure, then we're less likely to fall off the wagon.
Yeah.
And just be real about it. And
I think that's important, like you said there, about having a plan. And I think so many people focus, and this is going straight back to Atomic Habits, isn't it? But so many people focus on the outcome that they want to achieve. I want to lose this amount of weight. I want to run this distance in this time, whatever it might be. But they don't think enough about what are the daily, weekly habits and what's the plan and what are the things I need to do to actually achieve that. And we sort of collectively always try and encourage people to focus on what are you doing on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis that's going to lead you to that outcome. Forget about the outcome. Like, you can't achieve that straight away, but what you can do is make changes to your daily routine, your habits, your usual behaviours that then leads to the goal. So more focus, in my opinion, should be on that rather than the outcome.
And when I'm talking about being realistic with yourself, was it the summer summit that I said, who are you on a bad day?
Yes, that was a really good section, that was.
That, if you know what you're like without the good stuff, without the plan and all that sort of stuff, then you can potentially preempt what you need to do for yourself. So I wrote it just down here when I remembered. Without a plan, I feel a little bit lost. And it happened to me after I got back. I did the Athex comp, and then I went on holiday, and then I came back, and there was like a few weeks before my high rock, so I wasn't really on that training program, and I just was like, my training went out the window a little bit, and I was like, oh. And I felt quite panicked and stuff, and I didn't feel ready. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm following a program all over December and I potentially might change it in January, but I'm literally just following a program for December to keep me on track. Yeah. So I don't lose everything that I've already built up to, or at least keep it at a pace where I don't completely drop down and I can't run anymore or what have you. Yeah. And I think that's, for me, I know what I'm like if I don't have some form of structure, some form of plan to keep my motivation going, to keep me focused. And I just like, I know that I would probably get down, I'd feel a little bit lost. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? And just like, exercise makes me feel good. So how to follow a plan, I'm less likely to feel like shit over Christmas and feel down or fat or fed up, all that sort of typical inner chat.
Yeah.
Knowing what I'm like, I've had to make sure I have a plan to follow, even if it's just short term.
Yeah.
Before I do like my 12-week program in January for the next whatever.
And for
my goals.
For you, who's someone who's obviously fitness enthusiast, does competitions and stuff, you're going to have a set plan. I presume you're talking around what you're actually doing within your training and all of that. And I suppose if we flip it back to like clients we typically work with, like that plan might be, okay, my plan is I'm going to go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. Like we know for our clients, like most of them don't worry too much about that because they know that we're looking after that for them. They just have to show up and do what we ask them to do. You know what I mean? That's one of the benefits of training in an environment like ours.
Well, that's automation as well that I like to talk about as well.
So they've got that in place. So the plan for you, working towards particular events and stuff is going to be different to the plan for someone who is just looking to make a positive change. Their plan is, okay, I'm going to go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week. I'm going to increase my steps to whatever, like 4,000, 5,000, whatever. I'm going to change this about my nutrition. I'm going to do these 2 or 3 things. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that.
Well, I was talking
that's what the plan would be.
I was talking more to the tools I need to achieve my goals or stay on track. So not necessarily talking about my goals in particular. The tools, you need to find the right tools in order to keep you on track, to keep you focused towards whatever goals you have. So if that, like for here, if that means walking more steps or getting up a little bit earlier to add in some extra stuff that you didn't do before. Or I'm going to book in my sessions, not for the week, maybe for the month, and talk about it more and stuff like that, make it who you are more. There's like,
well, that goes back to the identity thing again, doesn't it? Like it becomes, you are someone who, I am someone who goes to the gym regularly. I am a gym goer. I am someone who eats healthy. I'm someone who looks after my health. I'm a non-smoker. All these things. Like I think that's really powerful. I'm a runner.
It's interesting, right? My mum went to go and see some old friends, and they were like, "Oh, you're right, gym bunny now, aren't you?" And mum was like, "Oh," and didn't quite know how to take it. And when she told me, I was like, "Absolutely, you're a gym bunny." Oh, I was like, "That's a good thing." That's not. They might have said it in a derogatory way or what have you. We don't know if they did or didn't, but you didn't have to take it. But I would have taken that as a positive, as a compliment. She went, "Oh yeah," and then somebody else said, "Oh, you're right, gym bunny." Now she went, "Yeah, I am, And it is about the identity, and I think this other person was being complimentary, but I think mum would have been ready either way. It's like, thank you. She's like, thank you.
I think a lot of times people probably would use that term in a negative way.
Really?
So,
no, I'm like, I am.
No, but I think we would take that well, wouldn't we? But I think a lot of people would say that in a way that's derogatory, like as if you're a fitness freak, or what I mean. Like that's sometimes I think the mindset people have. And we've had people talk about this on our podcast already. Clients who spoke about how people around them have sort of like, they start to view them differently in terms of you're changing.
No, you're changing. That makes me look bad. No, come back. You're like, oh, and that's what I was talking about. Like, you might come across that, even if your goals aren't that big. I'm just going to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. Some people, close friends, family, your partner, might not like it, because even if the change is little, they may not like it. Because that means they have to change and they're not ready to change. Or you're making them look bad. Or you're doing things differently now. We don't eat that. Didn't used to eat that. And that's like, these are the little things that could potentially get in your way. And being mindful of that will help.
The worst one I know of that, or the most common I know that happens to clients I spoke with anyway here, is around alcohol. Like any clients who we've got who've not wanted to drink as frequently as they used to, maybe not at all. They're not gone teetotal, or they're not suddenly like running Alcoholics Anonymous or anything. But they're just, they just don't want to drink as frequently as they used to, because they know it kind of hinders their gym, it hinders their results, weight loss, etc. The kickback people get from that is quite crazy sometimes. Like, we don't know this person. Go on, it won't hurt. Don't be boring. All of that, So like you said, even if your goals aren't that big and drastic, and you're not having to become this completely different person like it might have made it seem like we were talking about before. But like you said, they probably will still get a little bit of that kickback from people around them, because like you said, they're changing, and people don't want you to change sometimes.
Honestly, even little changes, like people are like, oh my god, what's going on? So they might experience that. But my point is just understanding that there may be that might be one of the things that stops you from reaching your goals. If you're not aware of the things that potentially might hold you back. Some of the barriers that we call little blocks. But being aware of that might help you be better prepared if that happens. If that happens.
Yeah, it might not. Everyone around you might be incredibly supportive and love to see you being this new person. And if that's great, if that's the case, then brilliant.
So when we did the Revitalise programme, I often talked to them about what support will you get? Or what barriers do you think will get in your way? And I always ask them that question. They were like, I was like, 'cause it's good to think about it so you're prepared, so you know it when it happens. Because some people are not aware of it. I think just being aware of what you're doing and your why and stuff will definitely help you get over some of the hurdles that you will definitely face when you try and make new goals and habits. Most changes are difficult in some way or another.
Absolutely. Cool. So for anyone then who is looking at making a change this January, especially I suppose if we're thinking about clients we often work with, maybe it's someone who hasn't been exercising regularly, or maybe never has at all, or hasn't for a while, life's got in the way, children, work, all those other things, people who are looking to make a positive change. What would be some key areas for them to focus on? I think we've talked about that a little bit already, but just a general summary of what you would encourage that person to do.
What would you say? I would flip it back to me.
I would say, I think we've covered most of it. I think it would be, thinking clearly about what you want to achieve. And then also, I think the one bit we've probably not spoke about, and maybe kind of a bit of a plug for a gym like ours, whether it's here or elsewhere, is if that is the case, it's, I suppose, trying to think about maybe why you've not been able to stick with it in the past. And I think some of the key areas that we come across for people is lack of support, whether that's from people around them, but more specifically support with their fitness in terms of what do I need to do, how often, what type of training, all of that. And then I think the lack of accountability. If you're someone who fitness doesn't come naturally to, you're not someone who will turn up at the gym on your own, off your own back at 6 a.m, 7 p.m, whatever it needs to be. I think having that accountability in place is probably the most important factor, because it keeps you going, it keeps you motivated. If your motivation levels do dip, you've got someone there who's going to kind of help you navigate that, and that's a big part of what we do. It's keeping people consistent, it's keeping them coming back regularly, it's making sure that they're enjoying their training, they're getting the results. If they're not getting the results, we can kind of try and problem solve. So I think for me that is the missing piece to the puzzle for most people.
I think that's the difference between a gym like ours and doing like an online program and stuff. I know a lot of people will try and go to the gym themselves and follow a program online that's a generic program, and you don't get that accountability. And also, if you're not that experienced, you don't know if you're lifting right, you'll get an injury and all that sort of stuff. And there's so much more than the accountability that we provide is so much more than how you're getting on, how you're checking in. There's so much more to it than that, isn't there, coming to our gym? How you're feeling, how you're moving, like what's going on here, like correcting their posture and, guiding them on what they should be lifting and how and why and all that sort of stuff. There's so much more to it than that. That's accountability is a very big umbrella, I think, that covers what we do. As opposed to like slimming clubs and other online stuff that potentially might not.
And I think it's having someone who's invested in you as much as you are in yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, we know that here, that whenever a client signs up with, we really want to see them succeed. We really want to see them be successful in what they are looking to achieve. And having that support around you is really, really important. And I know, thinking about the accountability, like you said, it covers off a lot of areas, but I know as basic as it sounds, one of the key things for a lot of our clients is, and how often do we hear this, is like the fact that they have to book. They have to organise themselves. They have to be like, right, I'm going to the gym. It sort of all feeds into that identity in terms of, I'm someone who goes to the gym. I'm someone who I book my sessions in, I get them booked in ahead schedule, I plan my day and my week around that time, I protect that time.
Yeah.
It's so important because we spoke about this one on the previous podcast, but just how busy life is for most people. Like, that time isn't going to magically appear. You've got to book it in, and you've got to organise yourself.
Yeah, what you said, protect that time. That's making your time at the gym a priority as well.
Yeah.
Just doing that, you might not realise it, but planning it in is protecting that time is making the gym session a priority to you, because health and fitness is a priority because you want to be a good parent or what have you. Booking it in makes it automatically something you're going to do, and you don't have to think about what you need to do. We guide you on that as well, so it's easier to do.
I think it comes back to planning again, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, planning your week. Like, if you're someone who fitness doesn't come naturally to, the more organised you can be in terms of when you're going to the gym, how many times a week, which days and times, nutrition side of it, planning that out. What am I doing? Where am I going to be? Most of the barriers people face around stuff like that comes back to the fact that they didn't have a plan, so then they fall off track, and it's easier to just go with the more convenient option.
And it can be a lot to think about.
Yeah.
There might be a lot of steps, so therefore it's quite overwhelming. So you don't have to do it on your own. That's what you get from people like us. You get the support and the accountability and that step-by-step progression.
Yeah.
It can be quite daunting to somebody who's never really been to the gym or thinks they've got this idea of what a gym's going to be like, and they're like, well, I can't even do a squat. Like, well, they might not even know what a bloody squat is. Do you know what I mean? And they're just it just feels like too big of a step to do.
Yeah.
But I guess that's why we do what we do here and do the podcast and try and do as much as we can and get it out there to let everybody know that we've had so many people who haven't got a clue what a squat is or how to do it or what a bloody dumbbell is or anything like that. And it's totally fine. Like, there is no judgment. And we've had so many people going, oh, you're really patient. I'm like, it's fine. Yeah. It's what we do. We like it, and we understand that you might not know everything. Yeah. So of course we're patient, but I want people to know out there that members are really looked after here. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing in their lives. As adults, they don't expect to be looked after. But most of us still like to be looked after in some way, and that is what I call support and accountability. Mm-hmm. We look at you're looked after. I like being looked after by somebody who knows more than me or what have you, to learn and grow and be supported. Despite me already knowing a lot about health and fitness anyway, I still need that accountability to talk about it, to make sure, to help me reflect on my journey and what I'm doing. Because there's another thing, you hit these goals and then forget how far you've come, and you're like, oh, you kind of feel a bit complacent. And it's having that support and accountability off coaches like us will help you actually reflect on how far you've come. Yeah. That's really vital, because I know I've felt a bit stagnant. Why am I not moving forward? But actually, if you look back at what I've done all in the last 6 months or a year, you're like, oh, actually I've achieved quite a lot. I should probably pat myself on the back a little bit and not beat myself up. And that's what a lot of people do, don't they, right? They're like, oh. So I think, that support is an accountability, or whatever wording you want to call it, being looked after, is really important. And that's definitely something we deliver every day.
Yeah.
So I hope every member, some people don't want it as much, but they're just happy to come in.
We get different types of people, don't we? Some are in more need of that than others.
Yeah, so we don't throw it down your throat if you don't need it, sort of thing. No. Like, how are you doing every day? But, they know that we're there if they need us, so that level of support is bespoke to the person who needs it.
Adjusted based on the person, absolutely. So, cool. I feel like we've covered off a lot of different bits there. Any final remarks or any final thoughts for anyone who is looking to make a positive change this new year? What would be a very short little summary for them, or little snippet from Claire?
Just take little steps and write it all out if you need to, with a little plan, and maybe envision how you want it to look, and just be realistic with how long it's going to take you to do it and what things you need to do. And you don't have to build Rome in a day. It can be done in little steps, and make sure you reflect every now and then on how far you've come.
Love that. If anyone's listening who needs some additional help and support with that, and you're near to Whitchurch, then reach out to us. If you're not near to Whitchurch, then find a gym like ours somewhere else, because I think there's massive value in this type of approach. And most of the clients we work with are people who've not been as consistent with their health and fitness over the years as they are when they're with us, because they get all that support, they get that accountability. The one thing we've not talked about actually is community and how important that is, and finding your tribe. You've missed that off completely. Quick summary of why you think that's important.
So if it's important to you to be part of a group or a troop, or a sense of belonging is important to you, is one of your values, then another reason why to join a gym like this, where you are surrounded by not just like-minded people who've got the same goals, but just a mixed bunch of people where you just like realise, it's not just you on your own who's trying to work, and get better at what they're trying to do. You're not the only person on your own. You're not alone. So it's a nice sense of belonging, I think. Community is a little bit of a big umbrella, and probably like overused. But I think if you want to belong to a team, and that's something that motivates you and keeps you going, then a gym like ours is definitely the way to go. Like, community is a big thing, to feel like you belong to something or someone or what have you.
I just think as well, like we've had this conversation, haven't we, recently, about how most people aren't joining the gym like ours because they want a community. Like, most people are joining because they want to make a change, they want to be fitter, healthy, all these things we spoke about. But we know how important that is for keeping people going longer term. And an example I had of that, actually, I'll just say quickly, is like, I went away this year to a friend of mine's gym over in Ireland. So Doc, if you're listening, big shout out to you. I went across to his gym. He ran like a day for gym owners, and I went there and we all had a chat and shared what's working and what's not working, all those things. And I stayed at a hotel near the gym that we were going to, and I went to I can't remember which way round, but I think in the evening that I got there, I trained at this guy's gym, and it's a gym like ours, like coach-led facility. I went in, I think they run like a 10-to-1 model, so there was 10 clients and 1 coach. I was one of the 10. And it was just a great atmosphere. Like, I didn't know anyone there. They all knew each other, like our clients do. So they were all chatting and interacting with each other and training hard. I was kind of just thrown into the mix, but you're getting chatting with people, and it was just a really good session. Like, I really enjoyed it.
You'd be buzzing after.
Yeah, felt buzzing afterwards. It was brilliant. Like, I got to know a couple of the people. We were chatting. They were asking me where my gym is and all these things. It was great.
Just connection, isn't it?
Yeah, and they seemed to all have a really good session. And then the next day, in the morning, I went to the hotel gym. And I walked in, and like, everyone had their headphones in, and that's like not a criticism of that. If that's you, like, great. If that's what floats your boat, then like, brilliant. But like, it was just a completely different atmosphere. No one was talking to each other. Honestly, I walked in, I was a bit like, I felt a bit on edge, because it was like, everyone's looking at me. Who's this? Who's this? Never seen him before. He's quite tall. You just felt like a bit weird.
You know what I mean?
No. But it was just very different. It was really like stark contrast. And like I said, each person's got their own preferences. Some people obviously want to go to the gym, they want to put their headphones in, they want to do their thing, and they want to leave. Great. Like, find a gym that works for you.
Yes.
But if you're someone who, like you said, values community, feels good in a group of people, wants to be surrounded by other people, wants to be in an environment where they've got people like them around them, where they're going to walk in, they're going to actually maybe even enjoy the gym. And I think that's so alien to so many people. I remember, whose podcast did we do that mentioned that? Ali Edwards, she sort of spoke about how she actually really enjoys it, and she never thought she'd say that. It's so weird to think, actually, I look forward to going to the gym. But we've got a lot of clients who are like that, and then some who still sort of don't really like it, but they still come because they know that actually I'm going to be surrounded by nice people. I can think of a few particularly who I'm thinking about who they'd still rather be elsewhere.
Yeah, one of the guys said it outright, goes, I don't enjoy this, but I know I've got to do it, and I like the people.
And it keeps him coming back.
Can you say that on the microphone next time? Where's Cal? Can we record that?
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, is there? There's nothing wrong. Like, not everyone has to love the gym. Not everyone has to feel like, actually, it's my favourite place in the world. Like, some people might think, actually, I'd much rather be at the pub, I'd much rather be at home watching TV or whatever.
But that what he said, you probably know who I'm talking about, that touches upon his values, really, doesn't it? And his why. Like, I don't really enjoy it that much, but he always feels good when he's left. So he knows that he's going to feel good when he goes. It's just not something that's really come natural to him, but he has to do it. He wants to do it because he knows that's good. It's good for his health and fitness. He might not buzz off it like we do, as crazy people do, as gym freaks. Take that. But he knows his value is to be fit and healthy.
Yeah.
So, you don't always have to enjoy it, but most people do.
No, most people do. Most people do. I think if we surveyed, I think more people would say they do enjoy it.
Yeah. But he feels good. Like, he doesn't necessarily enjoy the exercise and what it does, like, makes him feel, like, muscle-wise, like, oh, this hurts, this is hard. But he does feel good after.
Yeah, it's like a necessary evil, isn't it, for some people, and that's fine. That is cool. Well, we are going to finish now, actually. We said we were going to, then we went off on a tangent. But yeah, big thanks for listening for everyone, anyone who's listened to us chatting away again, and be sure to join us in the next episode. What have we got next? What's up next?
Alan and Sheena.
Oh yes, Alan and Sheena are up next. That's going to be a great episode. That's going to be a really cool one. But yeah, thanks very much for listening, everybody. Best of luck with your New Year fitness goals, and any help and support needed, be sure to reach out.
Yes, get in touch. We'll support you and help you.